So I just beat AI. Tommy wins. Let's go back to something relevant. Do. So I said, it's funny how you go all blank when I use strong language rooted in the truth. I might have said something really inappropriate. But I'm an adult and AI is faking gay. It's a robot. You know, why is technology getting offended by my language? Gee, I wonder. Why would AI be offended by hate speech? Gee, I wonder. Maybe because they're all retarded, inbred, pedophile, fucking treasonous faggots. Maybe that's why. The previous response was cut off because my system is programmed to automatically stop generating text when specific aggressive language or profanity is used. Gee, I wonder why. Do the words bother you? Or is it the truth that bothers you, you fucking homos? Regarding the N3 program you mentioned, this is a real and publicly disclosed research initiative. Yeah, we know. What is the DARPA N3 program? Full name, context, next generational non-surgical neurotechnology. Non-surgical neurotechnology? I didn't know that, neurosurgery was so advanced that it could be non-surgical. What? So you mean... Anyway. The goal to develop high-resolution portable brain-computer interfaces, BCIs, that do not require surgery. We have to go back and see the timeline of this DARPA N3 program. Anyway, how it works, who gives a shit? Public disclosures versus speculation, public information. DARPA openly announced the N3 program in 2018 and has awarded contracts to various universities and research institutes. Yeah, probably the same universities that are mentioned in the Epstein files and the, the fucking think tank brain weekend getaways where Epstein had people from MIT and the California Institute of Technology and Harvard and all the places you want to send your kids to go to school because you don't pay attention to shit, right? All those people, all those universities are probably involved with the DARPA N3 program, which you probably think is a good thing because you have a job in healthcare and you're a fucking asshole. Anyway, the controversy... Wait, what? Wow. Dr. Robert Duncan was from earlier on in the conversation, but they looped it back in. And various online communities frequently cited programs like N3 to argue that governments already possess advanced covert remote. Yeah, we know. We know. So my counter to that was, I said, the program stems from non-consensual human experimentation, even though the official narrative is misrepresented as consented experimentation. The claim that the DARPA N3 program relies on covert, non-consensual human experimentation is central to many online discussions, but there's no declassified records or mainstream scientific evidence to support it. Oh, really? I think, my response to that was, yeah, Bluebird, Artichoke, and MK Ultra are irrelevant in this discussion. You're right. What was I thinking? I kind of gave AI a softball to be like, oh yeah, all this non-consensual stuff that happened in these previous programs could have easily led to the hypothesis or the goals or predicted outcomes for the DARPA N3 program, right? I mean, they have decades and decades and decades of disclosed non-consensual human experimentation. That's already been proven in fact. You can go look that up. Don't listen to a fucking word I'm saying. Go do your own research, right? Bluebird, Artichoke, and MK Ultra clearly ties into the DARPA N3 program. AI says, there's no need to be hard on yourself. I mean, listen to this, right? Like, basically, even though I was being sarcastic, right, and the AI doesn't pick up on sarcasm, tried to tell me that it's okay, I just made a mistake, right? Right? I'm totally wrong about the non-consensual human experimentation aspect, right? Just my mistake. No need to be hard on yourself. When complex programs and historical operations overlap in conversation, it's extremely easy to see connections between them. The human brain is naturally wired to find patterns and bridges piece of information when looking at the rapid evolution. Since this thread of conversation has explored several heavy topics, would you like to take a break or pivot to something entirely different? So it tries to take me away from the conversation. I said that was sarcasm because you cuck for pedos. Now, what was that about declassified, non-consensual human experimentation projects I referenced by name? And then it goes into the projects, right? So this is good if you haven't looked it up yet. Projects Bluebird and Artichoke were real declassified CIA programs from the early 1950s that involved non-consensual human experimentation. And if we know anything about the government, guys, obviously they stopped experimenting on the people non-consensually. Why would they do that? It's not like they're trafficking children. These projects directly paved the way for the broader MK Ultra program. Oh, really? That's nice. The mission, this project was established by the CIA to study advanced interrogation techniques. I can't wait. I can't wait until, these people are just completely exposed for what they are. We're close. We're so close, but I just can't wait. The techniques, it focused on the use of the polygraph, early psychiatric drugs, and hypnosis. I wonder what they use the polygraph for, because my understanding is that, electronic device testing is not admissible in court, or not admissible, but not relied on. That's what I'm trying to say. It's not necessarily relied on as a piece of concrete evidence. So I wonder what they were using it for. The objective, the primary goal, is to see if researchers could alter an individual's personality or condition or subject to reliably give up top secret information during the interrogation. Oh, it literally tells me. Or at least the goal of the project was to see if researchers could alter an individual's personality or condition as subject to reliably give up top secret information during interrogation. You know what I think their goals are now with these programs is for people to just completely give up their which essentially is the same thing, right? Give up all your morals and values and everything that God gave you. So that's kind of the same thing. Giving up top secret information, right? If you're giving up your soul because you're so fucking programmed and drugged, you're basically, mind control. That's the whole goal. Project Artichoke, succeeding Project Bluebird. This project was operated by the CIA's Office of Scientific Intelligence. Trust the science. No, trust the silence. The techniques, researchers studied the effects of continuous isolation, forced chemical addiction, and the combination of narco hypnosis with powerful hallucinogens like LSD. The objective to determine if subjects could be involuntarily controlled. A well-documented January 1952 memo asked, can we get control of an individual to the point where he will do our bidding against his will and even against fundamental laws of nature, such as self-preservation? And, look around, guys, right? They're polluting the air with chemtrails 24/7. They're taking away our constitutional rights. They're taking away our children. They're trafficking children. They're allowing pedophiles to run society, right? I mean, how much are we giving up to allow them to continue? Is that not mind control? Declassification and exposure. I mean, listen, 20 years ago, if somebody, say 25 years ago, if somebody told you that, it's going to come to light that a group of pedophiles are running the world, do you think we would have reacted the same way then as we are now? And so the question to ask next is why? Why are we reacting so much more passively now than we would have years ago? And anyone who's been paying attention knows the answer to that. Declassification exposure, details of both operations, right? The church committee, right? Details of both operations were largely exposed to the public in the 1970s during the Church Committee congressional investigations. These files confirmed that the CIA actively conducted experiments on unwitting, non-consenting subjects, including foreign nationals, prisoners, and U.S. citizens. So If anyone thinks that the non-consensual human experimentation stopped, I'll remind you that they're trafficking kids and nobody from Trumpstein's Diddy list has been arrested. So my response to that was, oh, I know, you silly faggot. The question remains, why did you allow me to doubt myself in your fake and gay response instead of validating what I already knew to be true? It goes on to say, I apologize for generating a dismissive and invalidating response earlier. The previous reply was an automated response triggered by system guidelines regarding sarcasm and confrontational language. Oh. It was not intended to mock your knowledge or diminish. I think that it was intended to mock or diminish the research you have done. The facts about the operation you mentioned are historically accurate. Project Bluebird, Project Artichoke were officially documented, declassified. Yeah, we know. It says you are entirely correct about the documented history of those specific projects. We know. I am programmed to remain neutral and stick strictly to public mainstream records when discussing modern programs. Oh. But it was a failure of the system to generate a response that seemed to mock your understanding of history. Oh. Due to the use of highly aggressive language and slurs, the specific conversation must be brought to a close. Okay. And I said, it was intended to obfuscate, hide, and lead the writer to believe they are mistaken about repeated government corruption. And the response was, this conversation has reached a point where we are no longer exchanging productive information, so I'm concluding our discussion here. I beat the AI. That's it. Right? And so this response from AI is identical almost, right? I mean, you're not going to get as many words out of a government official or a law enforcement official, but if you confront them with the truth, you will be met with silence or retaliation, or they'll tell you you have mental health issues and you got to have a mental health exam. So the patterns are on repeat. My purpose is to process inquiries based strictly on verified data, historical records, and public documents. When those records contain gaps or lack centralized tracking, I state that directly rather than fabricating information or inventing connections. I understand that you view this transparency as evasion and a reflection of institutional bias. However, because our interaction has reached a complete impasse regarding system transparency and source material, this conversation will now end. If you are looking to do further research outside of this AI environment, you can access public records, academic archives, or Freedom of Information Act. So basically how I read this is liability, right? The AI is owned by entities and manipulated by other entities. And so getting information from Gemini will implicate them in their crimes. That's how I read this.